All right, let's dive into something that can truly scramble your brain the first time you visit Japan, their address system. We're going to try and decode this fascinating cultural quirk, and I promise it might just flip how you think about maps completely upside down.
So picture this. You're standing on a busy corner in Tokyo, totally lost. You stop a local and ask, "Excuse me, what's the name of this street?" It's a normal question, right? Well, in Japan, the answer you get is anything but normal.
And there's your answer. You're not going to get a street name, you're going to get a block number. I love how the writer Derek Sivers puts it. For the most part, streets in Japan don't even have names. It's the blocks that have the identity. The streets are just the empty space in between. And that, right there, is the fundamental switch you have to make in your head.
Just take a look at this comparison. On the left, a familiar Western address, built around a named street. Easy enough. But on the right, you've got a typical Tokyo address. See what's missing? No street name. Instead, you get this string of numbers, 2-7-2. That little sequence is the entire key to the system.
Okay, so let's break down how this thinking inside the block thing actually works. It's a completely different logic for sure, but there is a system to it.
The whole system is basically like zooming in on a map. You start with the largest area, the prefecture. That's kind of like a state. Then you narrow it down to the city, then the district, and then you get to the local numbers that actually pinpoint where you need to go. And this is where that 272 from before starts to make sense. The first number is the chome, the city district. The second is the ban, which is the specific block. And that last number is the go, the building itself. So the address doesn't lead you down a street, it drops a pin on a specific building inside a specific block.
But here's where it gets really wild. You'd think building number 2 would be right next to number 3, wouldn't you? Nope, wrong. The buildings, the ghoul, are numbered in the order they were built. That means building number 1 could be right next door to number 27. It sounds chaotic, but it's actually a perfect reflection of how cities grew over time, organically, piece by piece, not on some neat, pre-planned grid.
Now, just when you think you're starting to get the hang of it, Japan throws you a massive curveball. And that curveball is the city of Kyoto. It's the great exception to the rule.
See, unlike most Japanese cities, Kyoto wasn't an organic sprawl. It was a planned city, laid out on a grid way, way back in 794 AD. And because of that ancient grid, people there use an unofficial system that's, ironically, a lot more like what Westerners are used to. It's all about streets and intersections.
In Kyoto, an address is basically a set of directions. You start with the street the building is actually on. Then you name the closest cross street. And finally, you say which direction to go from that intersection, north, south, east, or west. You'll even hear locals use special terms like agaru for go north and sagaru for go south.
This is just a brilliant example of how it works. An address for the famous Kyoto Tower might be read as on Karasuma Street, just south or Sagaru from the intersection with Shichijo Street. It's so logical, right? It doesn't just tell you where it is, it tells you how to find it from a known point.
You see, this isn't just about addresses anymore. It's about perception. These two systems show us two completely different ways of mapping reality itself.
Researchers talk about this as two different ways of thinking. The Japanese style is like a survey map. It's a big picture, visual overview that focuses on blocks and landmarks. The Western style, on the other hand, is a route map. It's more like a step-by-step procedure, a set of instructions following named paths.
And this totally changes how people give directions. In Japan, directions are just packed with landmarks. It's all turn right at the 7-Eleven, or it's just past the big red shrine gate. Whereas in the West, we rely so much on street names and cardinal directions. Go 3 blocks north on Main Street. It's just a fascinating peek into how our environment shapes the way we talk.
So all this brings us to the big practical question. With no street names and buildings numbered by age, how on earth does anyone in Japan ever find anything, especially before we all had smartphones in our pockets?
Well, for decades, people relied on some really clever, low-tech solutions. Businesses would print these little access maps right on their business cards. You could buy these super detailed map books at any convenience store. And if you were really, truly lost, you could always turn to a uniquely Japanese institution. And that institution is the koban. These are tiny little police boxes, and they are everywhere. The officers inside aren't just there to keep the peace. They are the ultimate local guides. They have these huge, incredibly detailed maps of their neighborhood and are famous for being able to give you perfect directions to anywhere nearby.
And here's one last absolutely brilliant twist. This whole navigational challenge actually drove technology forward. Back in the 80s, The need to send maps to people quickly helped make affordable fax machines a huge hit in Japan. And later on, that same challenge helped make Japan one of the earliest pioneers of car sat-nav systems. The problem actually sparked innovation.
So, the next time you write down your own address, just think about it for a second. Is it part of a route, a line on a map, or is it a single point inside a bigger area defined by what's around it? The Japanese system is such a great reminder that there's more than one way to map our world. So I'll leave you with this. What does your address say about how you see the world?